Settle in now, traveler, for the night is still young. Oh yes, the nights along the Nile can be very long. And since we are scribes, it is our duty to record all that happens in them. My dreams had been troubled, as they often are when my wife is away in Thebes. Others like me serve in the administration of justice, keeping records of the law and witnesses. Still others are employed by merchants and traders, recording weights and measures and the value of goods. The path is long, but not without its rewards. These dikes are vital, for should they break, the fields would flood and all crops be ruined. More hands are needed here, but for the moment, we find them strong and true. Then it is on to the fields themselves. How is planting coming along? The workers hum a tuneless song as they drop seeds into the water. We talk of the coming season and of politics, of everything except our sun. Under the flickering light of the lamp, I work until my hand cramps. Finally, I lay it down and rest. My eyelids grow heavy, am tired from my day. My wife and I lie down on our mats, and soon sleep pulls me under. He is so far away, and yet he is always here with us. It is almost as if he never left. Do not forget, we are responsible for feeding and governing Egypt. And how can Egypt be governed without scribes? Without us, the wheels of government would grind to a halt, and chaos would reign. That while you, noble traveler, may not need to know the price of grain or the value of copper, you can appreciate the beauty of a carefully worded edict or a well-measured field. You may not walk our long and winding path, but you benefit from it nonetheless. And isn't that what being part of a community is all about? To give and receive, to experience and understand, to share in the lives of others? For if we are ever to comprehend the full tapestry of human existence, we must do more than simply witness the threads as they pass before us. We must learn to read the stories woven into each and every one. It is hypnotic to watch, like the swaying of papyrus in the wind or the endless drift of sand dunes across the desert. They do not need me, so I move on. There is something special about the heat of the day. For now, nothing threatens the stores of grain that await us in the winter. But what troubles my soul is my son. He has been away from home for so long, studying in Thebes, and soon it will be time for him to choose a career. I pray he chooses wisely, for a scribe's life is not easy. We spend our days sitting upon hard stone benches, and our bodies are bent from it. Our skin is scorched by the sun, and our eyes suffer from the glare of lamps. No one pays us much heed, and we have little worth to offer but our pencils and our voices. All sounds seem to muffle, and the world becomes quiet, except for the rush of the wind through the trees. Only the eternal presence of the Nile remains steadfast. After that, I attend to minor complaints and disputes. Her hair is braided tightly as always, and her ankles show beneath her long dress. She moves with such dignity. I could look at her forever, and yet I do not even ask her how the journey was or how my son fares. Instead, I welcome her back with a kiss and inquire after the price of grain. A woman must be practical, even in the evenings. She tells me wheat is higher in Thebes, but the barley harvest was larger than anticipated. I nod my head slowly. It is good to know these things. My wife understands. She loves numbers too. One woman accuses another of slander. Another man claims his neighbor beat him. We hear each side and attempt to find a resolution. Sometimes we call witnesses, sometimes we weigh evidence. It's tedious work, but I seek fairness. I am tired by the time it is done, but now it is evening. I wash myself and Dan a new linen robe. Soon my wife will be home. She has traveled to Thebes to visit our son, and I eagerly await her return. What news does she bring of Amenhotep? Is he well? Has he chosen a profession? Is he planning to return to live by the Nile again? When I reach the shore, I board a boat and ride across to the opposite bank. The foreman awaits me there and sees me safely aboard. On the other side, we disembark and I begin my inspection. And then there are those who work for the temple, tracking the gifts given to the gods and men who labor under the priests as well. Scribes are employed throughout Egypt. For without our ability to read and write, how would any great work be accomplished? Who would preserve history for posterity or record the deeds of a great king? Who would know the value of a bushel of grain, or the price of a slave, or measure the length of a field for inheritance? All these tasks fall to us scribes, and because we are few, we are highly prized. Yet, traveler, do not think we scribes are beyond the reach of misfortune. Though we are educated, it is not uncommon for the sons of peasants to rise to the rank of scribe, and we live among the common folk. Thus we are subject to all their whims and dangers. It means thieves, too, who seek to plunder the savings of our labors. It is hard to be an official in the house of Ra, and be parted from family. It is against nature. The sun rises higher. I have already attended to the morning rituals in the house, both for my own peace and for the well-being of my family. Now, I prepare myself for the day ahead. Yes, another tax payment has come in. Let us look inside. Here is the report from Akamam. The produce is stored safely in the granary, but the date harvest was smaller than expected, and the figs were damaged by the late rains. The workers complain of flooding in the fields, too, and ask for more hands to help them plant. Their request is reasonable, and I shall speak to Master Saranabote when he returns. My son Omena must be grown so tall I no longer see his head upon the tops of door frames, and my daughter Nefer must have learned her multiplication tables by heart, knowing the worth of each object in the house. Such thoughts made me miss them so very much, and that too, in the dead of night. I am a simple man. Give me the rustling of papyrus and the scratch of a reed pen over the smoothness of a freshly prepared scroll, and I am content, and content I am now. My master, Governor Saranput, is away. He travels with the royal court and will be gone from our city for many months. During his absence, I serve as chief scribe and steward of his house. While he's gone, the governor's many properties are my concern. His date palms, his vineyards, his houses and servants, his boats and warehouses, and the taxes and tribute due from the people of the region. Not every story has a grand beginning. Not every tale is meant to be told around crackling fires with wide-eyed children gathered at your feet. There are some things best suited for the flickering lamplight and the scratching of quills on papyrus. These are the stories of the small, the seemingly insignificant moments of our lives. Seemingly insignificant, that is, for what is the point of a king if his granaries overflow, unless the farmers plant their seeds? What use are temples and tombs if no one tends them? What good is justice without those who bring it forth and uphold it? We scribes may not wear fine linen or own treasured cattle, but the pharaoh could not rule without us. Our hands guide the tools of government, our lips speak its laws, and we keep watch over the flow of trade and justice throughout the land. The prosperity of Egypt depends on it, and so tonight, let us relax and record our days. I awoke with the dawn, or rather, the darkness was lifting, which is much the same thing here by the Nile. Many are the duties thrust upon us scribes. Some scribes toil as laborers, copyists, and artists. Let us turn our attention back to the task at hand. As the sun climbs higher, I leave the house and make my way down the hill toward the river. It is time to check the dikes that hold back the rising waters of the Nile. Now I return to the boat and travel back across the river. My mind is at ease. Turning to the house, I refresh myself for the afternoon. The first stars are appearing in the sky as my wife arrives. I see her now approaching. My heart fills with love. We dine together, and I tell her of the flooding threat in Akamam, and the diligent workers who scare away my worries. Now the shadows lengthen, and the air grows cool. We settle onto cushions, and I take up my reed pen. So ends another day in the life of a scribe. Not very exciting, perhaps, but necessary. Hello, this is your host. Welcome to this house. Today we are going to look at what life was like for a scribe in ancient Chit. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. Ancient Egypt has always seemed like such an exotic civilization. We tend to focus so much on the pharaohs, the monuments, and the treasures. He wakes up early because he needs to get to his job as a scribe in the temple before sunrise. He's apparently very strict and has a quick temper. He dips his brush into the ink bottle and begins copying the plans for the tomb. The architect watches intently. Mistakes are costly. They delay the project, and they cost money. The architect takes the scroll from the messenger and reads it. He looks serious, then calls Amenhotep over. Amenhotep is happy with his raise, but he knows he's earned it. Well, it depended on what kind of scribe you were and where you worked. Most scribes worked 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. They had few breaks and almost no vacations. Scribes had specialized jobs. They weren't scholars, but they were vital to Egyptian society. Life for a scribe was difficult, but it was better than most other jobs. Scribes weren't slaves, but they weren't free either. They had few rights and no voice in politics. For a scribe, work was more than a means to earn a living. It was a way of life. He's worked hard all week and hasn't wasted any time. As the sun sets, the workers head home. Their work is done for the day. Amenhotep gathers his things, then heads home. He's hungry and thirsty after a long day of work. He washes the dirt off his hands and face, then enjoys a nice meal of bread, beer, and fruit. Tomorrow, he'll do it all again. The king wants the architect to copy some more plans. The architect hands the papyrus roll to Amenhotep and tells him to read it. Remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. Don't forget to share your ideas for future episodes in the comments below. We look forward to seeing you next time. Amenhotep, despite being tired, realizes this is an honor. The architect trusts him with such an important task. He reads the papyrus and asks the architect for clarification on certain points. Then he copies the message exactly as it is written. Scribes weren't allowed to add anything to what they copied, nor could they take anything away. They had to copy everything exactly as it was written. Everyone is watching Amenhotep, waiting for him to finish. When he makes a mistake, which he sometimes does, he corrects it with a special tool. He uses a small knife to erase the markings, then carefully copies the words again. The architect is pleased with Amenhotep's work, so he hands him the next roll of papyrus. And while Amenhotep works, the architect goes to check on the progress of the other workers. He makes sure to bring everything he needs to his job site, his ink, his brushes, the papyrus rolls, etc. While he works, he sits cross-legged on the ground. Standing desks weren't invented yet. Sitting like that for hours on end wasn't comfortable, but it was better than other jobs. Scribes weren't slaves, but they weren't free either. They were bound to their job site. Some scribes lived close enough to go home at night, but others built small huts near their work site so they could stay on the job day and night. They also brought their food and drink with them to avoid wasting time traveling back and forth. While Amenhotep eats his breakfast, he watches the other workers. There are masons laying out the bricks for the outer wall of the tomb. Laborers moving huge blocks of limestone into place, and carpenters nailing together the framework for a decorative ceiling. All of these workers need the architects and scribes to tell them what to do. No one can start a project without the approval of the architect, and every step of the project is recorded by the scribes. Amenhotep, for example, specializes in copying plans. He reads the architect's sketches and records them on papyrus. In fact, the only reason he knows how to read and write is to copy things. There were no books in ancient Egypt. Sometimes the architect stops by to check on Amenhotep's progress. Around midday, the workers take a break to eat and drink. While everyone else takes a break, Amenhotep continues working. He doesn't want to waste time. But he does take a break around midday to drink some beer and eat some fruit. It's not a big deal for Amenhotep to sit on the ground and eat. He does it all the time. But for the architect, it's a different story. He looks uncomfortable. The architect is dressed in fine clothes and linen shoes, but he doesn't seem to be used to sitting on the ground. He asks one of the laborers if he has any extra bricks, then has Amenhotep help him build a small platform to sit on. Writing was done on papyrus, a paper-like material made from reeds. Papyrus was expensive, so it was important not to waste it. Therefore, scribes weren't necessarily scholars. There was no formal schooling system in ancient Egypt. Scribes didn't study grammar, literature, or philosophy. In fact, many people couldn't even read or write, even though literacy was more common among men than women. Scribes were typically apprentices who had been taught by another scribe, usually a family member. Many scribes started their careers at age 12 or 13 and took between 5 to 10 years to master their craft. It's a long day of work. He lives in a small town near a temple complex. Scribes often worked in temples, but they could also work for the government. Record keeping for tax collectors or building projects, especially building projects for tombs. Amenhotep is excited to be working on a special project. His boss, the architect, has arrived from Thebes and brought with him instructions from the king to build a special tomb for a powerful official who recently died. But what did everyday life look like? What was it like to live in ancient Egypt? How would you have made a living? How did people spend their free time? Let's get a taste of everyday life by answering these questions about a scribe. To answer these questions, let's imagine a scribe named Amenhotep. But Amenhotep isn't an architect. He's a scribe. What exactly does that mean? The term scribe covers a wide range of positions. Amenhotep is a bit anxious because he's heard stories about this architect. It's time to get to work. The architect has prepared the first roll of papyrus and unfurled it for Amenhotep. The workday is long and hot. Scribes aren't building the tomb with their hands, but they're still covered in dirt and sweat. In the afternoon, a messenger arrives with new orders from the king. When he finishes his work, the architect is pleased and gives Amenhotep an extra hour for the rest of the week. So what was it like to be a scribe in ancient Egypt? In the hallowed halls of the great library of Alexandria, amidst towering shelves laden with ancient texts, our intrepid explorers find themselves face to face with a peculiar sight. On an old scroll, written in faded ink, they read an inscription that sends them on a thrilling quest. What does it say? The scorching desert sun beats down on the bustling city of Memphis, the capital of the Old Kingdom. The streets teem with merchants hawking their wares, artisans displaying their crafts, and nobles making their way to the palace of the pharaoh. Our eager ears catch phrases like, "He who speaks words of kindness is a beloved servant." Do not be arrogant in your knowledge. Even the wisest can err. Do not behave unjustly towards others, for you do not know their might. His maxims weren't confined to the dusty shelves of ancient libraries. They resonated across the millennia, influencing countless individuals who sought wisdom and guidance. His teachings transcend the boundaries of time and culture, offering guidance and inspiration to those who seek wisdom and enlightenment. By embracing his words, we can navigate the complexities of life with grace, understanding, and integrity. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey. May the legacy of Ptahhotep continue to inspire and guide us as we strive to live a life filled with purpose, compassion, and knowledge. Until next time, may the wisdom of the ages illuminate your path, and may you find serenity in the tapestry of existence. His words crossed borders and cultures, leaving an indelible mark on the human psyche. So the next time you find yourself lost in the labyrinth of modern life, take a moment to remember Ptahhotep. Let his story be a source of strength, his wisdom a guiding light, and his legacy a call to action. Embrace the power of quiet wisdom, nurture kindness, justice, and self-awareness in your life, and who knows, you might just find that the answers you seek are hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to discover them. As we delve deeper into these ancient teachings, we discover that they transcend time and place. His teachings, timeless and universal, hold immense value in today's world. By embracing his words of wisdom, we can navigate the complexities of life with grace and resilience. One of the central themes in Ptahhotep's teachings is the importance of treating others with respect and empathy. He reminds us to treat everyone fairly, regardless of their social status or background. In a world that often emphasizes competition and self-interest, this lesson serves as a powerful antidote, encouraging us to build bridges of understanding and compassion. Moreover, Ptahhotep's teachings emphasize the significance of knowing yourself. He encourages introspection and self-reflection as essential components of wisdom. By understanding our own strengths and weaknesses, motivations and biases, we can cultivate a deeper sense of self-awareness and personal growth. In an age where external pressures often overshadow our inner selves, this lesson offers a path to inner peace and authenticity. Furthermore, Ptahhotep champions the pursuit of knowledge and the importance of asking questions. He encourages intellectual curiosity and the willingness to learn from both teachers and peers. In a rapidly evolving world where staying informed is crucial, this lesson underscores the value of continuous learning and open-mindedness. Lastly, Ptahhotep's teachings highlight the power of integrity and living a life guided by principles. He advocates for honesty, justice, and fairness as fundamental pillars of a meaningful existence. In a society that often grapples with ethical dilemmas and moral ambiguity, this lesson serves as a guiding light, reminding us to stay true to our values, no matter the circumstances. They speak to the eternal truths of humanity, the universal challenges we all face, and the timeless aspirations for a better life. We learn about the importance of treating others with kindness and respect, no matter their social status. We are reminded to stay grounded, to avoid the pitfalls of arrogance and pride. And above all, we are inspired to live a life guided by justice and fairness. Amidst this lively chaos, there exists a secluded courtyard where a lone scribe toils diligently at his desk. He encourages us to reflect deeply on our actions, to examine our hearts and intentions. He reminds us that true wisdom lies not just in acquiring knowledge, but also in understanding ourselves better. His words challenge us to introspect, to confront our flaws and biases, and to strive for self-improvement. Through his teachings, we embark on a transformative journey, not just as listeners, but as active participants. He urges us to ask questions, to debate and discuss, and to test our understanding against different perspectives. In doing so, we internalize his lessons, weaving them into the fabric of our being. His name, Ptahhotep, holds the title of Vizier, a trusted advisor and chief minister to the pharaoh. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, where social media noise threatens to drown out the whispers of wisdom, Ptahhotep's story offers a beacon of hope. It shows us that true wisdom doesn't need to be shouted to be heard. It can thrive in quiet corners, shared between a master and a student under a shady tree. It teaches us that sometimes the most profound insights come from the simplest of beginnings. In an era marked by division and distraction, Ptahhotep's emphasis on kindness, justice, and self-awareness serves as a reminder of our shared humanity. It compels us to look beyond our differences and focus on what unites us, our common desire for a better world. His story inspires us to become active participants in creating that world, to be catalysts for positive change in our own communities. However, little do the passers-by know that Ptahhotep is not just an ordinary scribe. He possesses a unique gift, the ability to navigate the intricate pathways of the human heart, to understand its desires and unravel its complexities. This gift has earned him the respect and admiration of the pharaoh and the entire kingdom. Over the years, he has successfully resolved numerous disputes, offering wise counsel and just decisions. His fairness and intelligence have made him a legendary figure in the annals of Egyptian history. The words dance before their eyes. To find Ptahhotep, seek where the scribe's heart finds solace. It's an ordinary individual, a commoner with a simple request. He wants to know how to deal with a troublesome neighbor, how to find a good wife, how to raise children, and how to live a good life. Intrigued by this humble request, Ptahhotep decides to share his wisdom, not just with this visitor, but with the whole world. With his keen understanding of human nature and the complexities of life, he composes a set of guiding principles, a roadmap to navigate the ups and downs of existence. And so, under the shade of a sycamore tree, surrounded by his students, Ptahhotep imparts his timeless teachings, which would later be compiled into a papyrus known as the Maxims of Ptahhotep. Could this be a riddle pointing towards the forgotten resting place of one of ancient Egypt's most enigmatic figures? Now, as your minds sharpen and spirits soar, we find ourselves transported back to 24th century BC Egypt. But our tale doesn't end here. For one day, a visitor arrives at the courtyard seeking Ptahhotep's help. And now, as we sit at the feet of the ancient scribe, ready to absorb his profound wisdom, we can hear the echoes of his words carried on the wings of time. But wait, there's more to this story. As our exploration continues, we uncover another layer of wisdom in Ptahhotep's teachings. But why is this story important to you? Why should you care about this ancient scribe and his timeless teachings? And let's not forget the lasting impact of Ptahhotep's teachings. Now, as we bring our journey to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the profound lessons Ptahhotep has shared with us. As we come to the end of our journey through the timeless wisdom of Ptahhotep, we carry with us the profound lessons he has shared. What would you say is the most important part of any big city? Is it the buildings? Is it the people who live and work there? Is it the stories that are created there? All of these things are definitely important. During the height of the New Kingdom around 3,000 years ago, Egypt was a powerhouse. Could this be the legendary scriptorium, where priests and scholars gathered to write and copy sacred texts? Researchers have uncovered several mentions of scriptoria in temples throughout Egypt. Inside, you notice that the walls are covered with shelves, where papyrus scrolls would have been stored. On one wall, you see a carving of Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom and knowledge. Next to him is a human scribe holding a scroll. This must be the place where priests and scholars came to study ancient texts and write new ones. You run your fingers over the worn stone, imagining the feel of papyrus under your own hand. As the sun sets, you head back home, your mind racing with possibilities. Who knows what treasures await discovery in these ancient ruins? Who knows what secrets they hold about the birth of civilization? Maybe one day soon, someone will uncover the lost library of Heliopolis. Maybe it will turn out to be just a myth. Maybe it'll be somewhere right under our noses the whole time. For example, at the Temple of Edfu, which was dedicated to the falcon-headed god Horus, several rooms were carved with references to learning and literature. If you enjoyed this adventure into the ancient world, be sure to check out more episodes. We've got all kinds of fun and educational content here on our channel, so there's always something new to learn. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any new episodes. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. One wall carving shows a group of priests standing next to a man holding a papyrus scroll. Above them, a baboon holding a scroll dangles from a tree. Nearby, a small shrine features the goddess of wisdom, Neith. All of this iconography points to these rooms being used as a scriptorium. Likewise, at the Temple of Dendera, one room is covered in images of scribes writing on scrolls and tablets. Though we don't have any direct evidence that these rooms were used as scriptoria, the iconography strongly implies it. In fact, similar carvings can be found all over Egypt, suggesting that this practice was widespread throughout the country. Even at the Temple of Abydos, which was dedicated to Osiris, the god of the afterlife. There are references to instruction and learning. The god Thoth, depicted as a baboon, is shown holding a scroll, and the words House of Life are inscribed above a nearby niche. Again, this suggests that these rooms were used for teaching and record-keeping. Unfortunately, none of these temple complexes still contains any papyrus scrolls from these periods. The oldest scrolls that have been discovered come from the later Ptolemaic and Roman periods. However, we do have a few scraps of papyrus from the New Kingdom that were found in the Valley of the Kings and Queens. These fragments date back to around 1400 BCE and contain a variety of texts, including a copy of the Book of the Dead. One particularly interesting piece contains a scene depicting the weighing of the heart ceremony. During this ceremony, the deceased person's heart was weighed against the feather of justice. If the heart was found to be pure, the person was allowed to enter the afterlife. These fragments provide us with valuable insights into the religious beliefs and funerary practices of the time. However, they were found outside of temples, suggesting that important documents were often moved to safer locations during times of conflict. This helps to explain why so few scrolls from these early periods have survived. What secrets could it hold? To answer this question, let's go back to our favorite royal advisor. Again, Ptahhotep tells us a great deal about the temple system and what went on there. It says, I knew every kind of temple according to their number, position, and their arrangement, their courts, and their sanctuaries, their treasuries and storerooms, and every building in them that belongs to the god, and the offerings which one makes to him in the various months. It seems that every major temple had a special room called the House of Life. As the name suggests, this room was probably used for recording births, deaths, and other important events. But it was also used for storing important documents and for training new scribes. This makes sense because temples were often responsible for preserving historical records and managing the affairs of their respective cities. So it's likely that they kept important documents on site. There are even some theories that these documents could include medical records, making these early houses of life some of the earliest hospitals in the world. Not only was it a center of trade and culture, but it also held some of the world's most prized knowledge. Many people came from around the world to study here. Imagine if you were a young scribe fresh out of school. How might you start your career? Well, one option would be to take a job at the royal palace or one of the great temples. This is exactly what our friend Ptahhotep did, though he doesn't tell us much about his day-to-day duties. He does tell us that he started out as a lowly clerk and worked his way up over time. So now imagine you are that same scribe after a decade or two on the job. You might be feeling pretty burnt out from copying scrolls day in and day out. Luckily, you have some vacation time saved up, so you decide to take a long weekend and visit the Temple of Hathor, about 250 miles south. Now that you're here, you notice something quite strange. Throughout the temple complex, there are strange markings carved into the walls. Pictures of you doing your job, only these carvings seem much older than the temple itself. You strike up a conversation with one of the priests, and he tells you that the temple was built in the 6th dynasty, over 3,000 years before. It was renovated several times through the centuries, but its original form dates back to this time. What does this mean for the history of scribal work? Could there really be artifacts left over from the very first dynasties right here in this temple? You decide to stick around and find out. But what if I told you that there is an element that binds all of them together? Something that goes back thousands of years and touches everything from politics to religion to art. I'm talking about documents. Pieces of paper that preserve information in writing. I'm not just talking about grocery lists or love letters. I mean the written word that allows us to record our history, ideas, and laws, the very foundation of our civilization. You can learn more about how documents shape our world when you sign up for One Dream's course. The Written World. The Written World. That's all yours to explore free for 30 days. Start today and see what you'll discover. And now back to our story. As you walk the grounds, you come across an inscription that reads, "The House of Life." Now, thanks to modern technology, we're able to read many of these inscriptions and carvings firsthand. As you explore the temple, you eventually find what might be the actual House of Life. Now, as we traverse the halls of Egyptian temples, let us turn from the low scribes, their backs bent from hours of writing, to face the most revered figures of all, the pharaohs. In the heart of these grand structures, hidden from the view of the common folk, lie chambers where the divine order of Egypt was maintained. It's here we encounter the lector priests and astronomers, men of letters and logic, who held the secrets of time and the stars. Here the sun god Ra, after his nightly journey through the underworld, would be welcomed back each morning. This ritual marked not only the start of a new day, but the rhythm of the cosmos itself. The lector priests were the conduits between the earthly realm and the divine, and they took their tasks seriously. Each priest, according to their station, was responsible for a particular god or aspect of the divine order, and so it fell to them to guard the temples, not just as holy places, but as interfaces with the spiritual world. This responsibility demanded keen observation. Just as the sun god's journey across the sky was charted daily, so too were other celestial bodies tracked with precision. The priests observed the movements of the planets, the phases of the moon, and recorded them not just for religious purposes, but because in ancient Egypt, the heavens were seen as a clockwork mechanism. Deviations in these patterns could signal disturbances in the cosmic order, potentially bringing chaos to the earthly realm. Hence, alongside their religious duties, these priests also functioned as astronomers. It was they who predicted seasons, crucial for a society dependent on the Nile's yearly flood. It was they who calculated the timing of festivals, ensuring they coincided with celestial events. Thus, in the heart of the temple, far from the bustle of the public worship, existed an atmosphere of intense focus. These priests were scholars, poring over texts, consulting star charts, and making meticulous notes. They were mathematicians, using complex calculations to predict eclipses and plan construction projects. They were scientists, understanding the interdependence of earth and sky. And it was this very precision, this intimate connection with the rhythms of the cosmos, that gave them considerable power in Egyptian society. Their influence extended beyond the temples. During the reign of Akhenaten, one of these astronomer priests, the vizier, rose to become the pharaoh's right-hand man. After Akhenaten's death, it was he who took the throne, marking a peaceful transition of power from priesthood to pharaoh. The influence of these intellectual elites serves as a testament to the importance of knowledge and reason in ancient Egyptian society. But what about the common people? What was their life like amidst the grandeur of the temples and the intrigues of the pharaoh's court? To find out, we must leave the cool shade of the inner sanctum and step back into the bustling heart of Egyptian cities. Here, amidst the vibrant bazaars and crowded streets, lived the artisans, merchants and laborers who formed the backbone of Egyptian society. Their lives, while less privileged, were nonetheless rich with tradition and community spirit. The Old Kingdom began with a bang. Memphis, the first capital, was a place of great trade and cultural exchange, welcoming merchants from across the known world. Its markets teemed with life, offering everything from exotic spices to everyday necessities. The common folks of Memphis and later Thebes and Alexandria would have strolled through these bazaars, bartering for goods, catching up on the latest news, and sharing stories that wove the social fabric of the city. Trade in ancient Egypt was not merely an economic activity, it was an adventure. Merchants traveling to distant lands brought back not just goods, but tales of far-off places that fueled the imagination of the common folk. Imagine a group of friends gathered around a table piled high with dates, figs, and grapes, listening intently as a traveler describes the towering pyramids of Nubia or the mysterious lands across the Mediterranean. These stories were the stuff of legend, adding a layer of wonder to the everyday lives of the common people. Festivals played a vital role in the social life of ancient Egyptians. From the annual celebration of the inundation of the Nile to the honoring of local deities, there was always a reason to come together. During these times, the common folk would have participated in processions, carrying colorful banners and singing hymns. They might have even joined in the traditional dances, moving in rhythmic synchronicity to the beat of drums and flutes. These communal experiences fostered a sense of unity and belonging, reminding the common people of their shared identity and traditions. Despite the social hierarchy, the common people of ancient Egypt had their own means of expressing their identity. Artisans crafted small figurines depicting everyday life, capturing moments of joy and struggle, love and loss. These miniature scenes became a form of visual storytelling, allowing the common people to document their experiences and emotions. It was a way of saying, "This is our story," even when they lacked the resources to commission grand monuments. In the heart of every city, there would have been a local shrine dedicated to the patron deity. This was a place where the common people could connect with the divine, seeking solace, guidance, or simply offering thanks for the blessings of the day. It was here, amidst the flickering flames of incense and the hushed whispers of prayer, that the common folk found a space of their own. A place where their individual stories merged with the collective narrative of the community. The life of the common people in ancient Egypt was not without its hardships. Famine, disease, and political upheaval were realities they had to endure. Yet amidst these challenges, they found strength in their faith, their traditions, and their sense of community. They believed in a world where the pharaoh was considered a god, where the Nile's annual floods brought both challenges and fertility, where the sun god Ra's journey across the sky dictated the rhythm of life. Within this worldview, the common people found meaning, purpose, and ultimately hope. As you reflect on the life of the common people in ancient Egypt, consider how much of their spirit and resilience echoes through the ages. How do their stories shape your understanding of ancient Egyptian civilization? Share your thoughts and join the discussion below. And remember, every story, no matter how small, contributes to the rich tapestry of human history. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep sharing your discoveries with the world. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. Until next time, may your days be filled with the wonders of discovery and the joy of learning. Stay curious, stay engaged, and above all, stay inspired.